the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, and welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today, I am sitting down with a friend of mine from up north in Canada. Chad is from the Ottawa area. He was diagnosed with MS in 2020. He wanted to come on and share his journey just to help me spread awareness about what it's like living with multiple sclerosis. Please welcome to the podcast, Chad. How you doing today, Chad?
Hey man, I'm not doing too bad at all, Brian. Thank you for having me on. I very much appreciate it. Very much so.
I appreciate you, Chad, man. Anybody that wants to come on and talk about their MS diagnosis just to help explain this disease a little bit better, I am all for it, buddy. I know that we have been talking for a few weeks now, and you got diagnosed in 2020, Chad. Can you kind of take us through your journey on what kind of symptoms you were having that led up to your diagnosis back in 2020?
So yeah, going back to 2020, it kind of started in the end of 2018. I'll go back to there because it helps kind of get to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So the end of 2018, the beginning of 2018, I turned 30. We went for my family took me to Ottawa to go to the laser maze and axe throwing. When we were at laser maze, I noticed that I could walk up ramps because there was 2 floors, but I couldn't walk down them properly. And that was the first kind of instance where I realized, okay, something really strange is starting to happen. Cut to a few weeks later, after that incident on my birthday, I slowly started kind of going numb from the toes up. And it went all the way up to my waist, where I basically couldn't feel anything. And I was with a girl at the time, and me and her were having, a moment of intimacy, and I legitimately couldn't feel anything. And that sent me into like a weird spiral where it was like, okay, we need to start figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
It took until the end of 2020 to finally get my diagnosis, essentially. And there was like, in between that, they thought it was nerve damage. Like there was so many things that they wanted to test me for before MS. And the whole time I kind of had a feeling, and I was pushing to get tested for MS, but didn't happen until 2020.
Were any of these doctors, when you were trying to get this figured out from 18 to 20, were any of them running an MRI?
Not one MRI, I believe, until like the beginning of 2020, I think.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. And this was also, so 2018 is when the crazy stuff happened, but I also had issues in my mid-20s again, where like nerve conductivity tests were done, but never MRIs ran. So it was like and back in my 20s, again, I asked my doctor at least 3 times to get me tested for MS, and I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I wanted to get tested for it. So I didn't know an MRI was required and all of that sort of stuff. So I never pushed for that, but I did push to get tested for MS, but for whatever reason, my doctor didn't take it seriously, unfortunately. Well, didn't think that was it. So didn't get me tested till 2020. And I feel like I could have been on medication for at least 8 to 10 years, probably, if would have been taken seriously back then.
Yeah. I hear that so much, Chad, that after people officially get diagnosed, that they connect dots like 5, 10, 15 years before, that they were going through symptoms, and they're like, you know what, this was probably MS back then, and I didn't even really think about it. And it sounds like you were the same way. I mean, it's just crazy. The path that some of us take to get their diagnosis. So when you first got the words multiple sclerosis told to you, how did you accept that mentally? Because I mean, did you even understand what MS was back then?
So kind of a funny, well, it's not a funny story, I guess a tragic comedy, but So the first neurologist that I had was like 112 years old, and he was like 2 months from retiring. So he was at the coast until I'm done sort of stage. So he didn't really, and I don't even hold it against him. I just know he's an old dude, didn't give a shit anymore. When he gave me my diagnosis, the one and only time I saw this neurologist, because he retired before I could see him again, he was sitting at his computer, not even looking at me, just like scrolling through, like muttering to himself essentially. And then he's like, yeah, so it definitely looks like you have multiple sclerosis. Didn't even make eye contact fucking with me, just kept like scrolling. And as soon as he said that, it was honestly like somebody threw a 12 pack of flash grenades into my head and I just poof. And I don't remember anything after that until it was back in my car calling my boss, telling him what I just found out. I couldn't come into work. But so for the first, I'm pretty good at, I don't know, decompartmentalizing things and sort of packing it down. I don't know. I went and told my parents, and they had a way harder time with it than I did originally. Like I was in shock, I think, for a while, quite honestly.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
it is I mean, it's when I know when I got diagnosed when I was 27 years old, I really didn't know what MS was. Um, I, I, I mean, I heard of it, but I didn't understand it. And then, like
Okay.
when I started learning about it, I had the mentality. I'm like, you know what, you might be screwed. But I also, just being 27 years old and full of piss and vinegar still, and I just got done playing football at University of Michigan. I was still in great shape. I mean, I kind of like took the attitude, you know what? Okay, game on. I'm 27
Yeah.
years old. I can't give up. I can't give up on life. I got to keep on plugging. So I just kind of accepted the disease, but it was kind of, you don't know where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years or even 20 years. And I think
Yeah.
that was the hardest part for me is like the mental part on the initial diagnosis of like, okay, what's my life going to be in 5 or 10 or 20 years?
Oh, yeah, man. I went through exactly the same sort of thing. Like, it took me a while to get to the point where I'm at now, where I'm like a cheerful, happy go lucky dude. Cause, yeah, the mental stuff at the beginning is like, again, you were 27, I was 30. So we're around the same age when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially, to me, it felt like, okay, I'm losing my body essentially, but I'm also losing my manhood
Yeah.
just because, and I don't, maybe some women understand this, but when you're a man at that age, you want to either, if you're with somebody or you're out playing the field, you want to be able to put on a good show in the bedroom or do whatever. You want to be able to do that.
Right.
And when you lose the ability to do that, it's a really fucked up thing as a man to go through, especially a young man, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like that is a whole other battle to go through for guys, and I'm sure women obviously have their own battles and stuff too. But that one I think is specifically to guys. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I mean, this disease costs relationships, and I mean, just to piggyback on what you're saying, I mean, the sexual part of it. I mean, yeah, there's men and women. They'll get up and walk out on their partner after diagnosis because they lose sexual function, and
yeah,
and that is like that's the mental battle. And people just don't get that we're the ones going through this, and we are the ones that when you're with a partner and things aren't working because of this MS. And I mean, it's an embarrassment. And I mean, it's just a whole head game, this disease.
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing, man. Like, so right now, I'm sitting, I'm comfortable. If you were to walk into my apartment and look at me, you would think nothing's wrong with me.
Right.
But the whole time I'm sitting here, my body's not spazzing out, but it's always in the background of your brain, like, oh man, you don't know what you're going to be like when you wake up tomorrow. And going through what I've went through, it's like some symptoms can come show up for 3 seconds and disappear. It's
Hmm.
like you are in a constant like game show of you have to pick behind the doors and see what's there. And it could be something, it's probably, hopefully it's nothing. But if it is something, it's usually not something good. But you always just have to look behind the doors, look
Yeah.
behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's stressful all day, every day.
Yeah, we never get a break from it. I mean, it's the minute that we wake up from, we get up out of bed. Hopefully, we get up out of bed, yeah,
Yep.
we're reminded of it from the minute we wake up until the minute that we go to bed. We never get a break, and that's why I always tell everybody the mental part of this is so hard. The physical part, and people see. that, they only see us for an hour, maybe during a day, or if they work with us, 8 hours during a day, they're not seeing us that when we go home, the recovery time, how we're wiped
Yeah.
out, how we're fatigued, how we're in pain. I mean, they don't see that. They only see us for short spurts. They don't see the whole 24 hours, and I try to tell people, like, yeah, I might look good, but you don't understand the war that is going on inside my body.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's exactly it, man. It's kind of strange too. So since I found out since I've been going through the process, I feel like the Chad is three different entities. There's like my body, my brain, and my mind, which are kind of the same, but kind of not. So it's like, I feel like some days you're battling two things. You're battling like your brain. Is it like brain foggy and fucked up and potato brained and you just can't think? And you're battling your body.
Mm.
And then your mind or soul or whatever the hell you want to call it is the one that wants to do stuff. So it's like two against one all the time. And they're both heavyweights and you're like a fucking lightweight
Yeah.
in the ring is how and that feels.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It is a nonstop battle, brother.
Yeah.
What kind of DMT journey did they put you on after your diagnosis?
So I started when I very first got diagnosed. My first med was Tecfidera. And that was so I got diagnosed with RRMS. Sorry, I think I forgot to mention that. But I think that's what a lot of people kind of start the journey as, I think.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. But yeah, so I had Tecfidera was my first one, and I was on that for 4 years, I guess, about around 4 years. And then at not my last neuro, two neuro appointments ago, he wanted to switch over my medication to something else because I haven't had any new scarring on the brain, but I do, or lesions on the brain, but I do have one active lesion that's been there for a long time.
Hmm.
So he wanted to switch up the medication to see if we could kind of get that under control, I guess. So he switched my diagnosis from RRMS to SPMS because I haven't really, like, I went through some stuff about 4 or 5 years ago with my work and set me into a huge relapse and I never went back. So I think that's why he classified me now as SPMS, and I take Mazent, it's called, and it's also called Sapinamod. So Sapinamod, Mazent, same thing as what I'm on now.
Okay. I'm not even really familiar with that DMT. Is that thing specifically for SPMS, or is that a just a regular general DMT?
So we were chatting about yesterday, and like I started to look it up, and in Canada, or at least with my neuro, he told me that you need to be secondary progressive multiple sclerosis to use Mazent. That is what I thought it was. But then when I was doing a little bit of researching, apparently down in the States, they prescribe it for RRMS.
Hmm.
So I'm really not friggin' sure exactly. Like next time I see my neuro, I'm definitely going to talk to him and ask that. But
Yeah.
I was also like, a lot of people I've talked to in the community have had instances where they've went to the hospital and taken steroids, and I've never been offered that. I've never done it. I knew it was a thing,
Yeah.
but I just didn't know. It seems like it's an important thing because everybody that I've talked to has had it done, and I've like never even had the opportunity.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, and I was just kind of blown away because I mean, I got diagnosed in '97, and that was like the first med that went into my body with my MS was Salumedrol. I went on a 5-day infusion on it, and every time I've ever had an episode, I've always gotten Salumedrol, and then I gave it prednisone taper, and we talked about that yesterday, and you're like, I've never had steroids. I've never had Salumedrol. I'm like, what? I never heard of a person not having steroids with MS. That it was just really interesting to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, it's strange. And I don't know if that's like I'm not going to say my own fault, but I have a habit of like, I know I've probably had instances now after talking to people where I probably should have went like I don't know, request that, I guess, but I've never even been offered it, which is strange. But I feel like there has been instances where I should have called my neuro and said like, hey, I'm kind of having some weird issues and I think I'm in a flare up, but I never do. And that is my fault 100%, I think, because I didn't know that was my neuro's never told me that. Right. So I'm only learning this stuff now that,
Yeah.
well, shit, what the hell? I'm missing it. Like, what is going on? So it's like something I'm going to talk to my neuro about for sure.
You know,
And again, too, this is sorry, I just wanted to say this is my third neurologist as well, and this guy's really good.
mhm.
So but I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned anything. But the first guy I had, like I said, Father Time, he retired, never saw him again. Then I had this lady that I don't know, didn't seem very happy in her job and kind of portrayed that to me when she talked to
Mhm.
me. So I just didn't get a good vibe from her. And then the guy that I'm with now is like Sheldon. Like he's just very into stuff. And it seems like his fascination is with multiple sclerosis. So I feel like I'm in good hands now.
Yeah.
But I still got to definitely mention that to him.
Yeah, and you know, and that's another part of the process that people don't understand in the journey is sometimes like just finding a neuro that you are comfortable with and you like and you can relate to is a journey, you know, and this is your third one. And I try to tell people, you know, just because you get your first neuro, if there's something that you're not comfortable with about him, like he's not communicating with you, you have every right in the world to find a new one. Don't stick with the same one if you're not comfortable. That guy's working for you or that girl's working for you. You got to make sure that you're on the same page. You know, you guys are all working together. Like I tell people, I got an awesome neuro. My neuro, I've been with him for 10 years. I actually have his personal cell phone number. I can text him any time of the day. He'll respond to me. I mean, that's the relationship I have. I feel very lucky I got a neuro like that. But I mean, they're out there, and if you're not comfortable with the one that you have, you got to find one. And you know, even if it takes 3 tries, like you, I mean, at least you got one now that you're happy with.
Oh yeah, see, but so my issue, and I was super lucky because so when I saw that first guy, he already had someone to replace him, so I went right to her. And then when I was at the lady, she already had someone to replace her, so I went directly over. So I was lucky. Like I didn't search out any of these. These are just the Neros I've been given. Because in Canada, it takes fucking I don't even know 6 to 12 months to get into an appointment. So by the time you finally get there, it's like, what am I gonna do? Do I put up with the this, or do I go another 8 to 12 months with like not figuring anything out? So it's kind of like you feel like you have no choice. You have to take what you get.
Yeah.
At least that's how I felt in Canada. You know what I mean? It's different in the States, but Canada's just so slow moving, man. It's like a snail in molasses in February.
It you
It's
know
just so slow.
I hear that about Canada. I hear that about the UK. The United States, it's not that much better to tell you the truth, Chad. I mean, if you are trying to start your journey right from the rip, just to get into a new neurologist is probably maybe a 6 month wait, depending on what part of the United States you're in. Once you get your doctor here, though, it is a lot easier to get a follow up appointment. You know, once you establish a relationship with the doctor,
Yeah.
I can call my neuro up and I can get in to see him maybe next week or you know, within a few days or a couple of weeks. But yeah, that initial visit is the one that you sit there and wait forever for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too. When I was like those couple years when I was trying to really figure out what was going on, I didn't start with a neurologist specialist. You know, like I went through, let's say, nerve conductivity. There was something else too that I can't remember. But it's like I saw one or two specialists before I got to the neuro sort of thing. So it's just, I don't know. It feels like it's very frustrating when you're like, okay, there's something severely wrong with me, and it seems like nobody gives a shit in the medical community. They do, and I understand that, like, especially since COVID, that really showed, widened the cracks of fucking any problem that there is in the medical field. So I understand it, but
Yeah.
it's just frustrating at the same time where and when you finally do get into some appointments, like you say, like my second neuro, when you're like, okay, fuck, yes, I have a neurologist. And then they don't really listen to you, or they kind of, the only time they talk to you is when like you forget to, I don't know, do blood work, and they call and like give you shit like they're your mother. And it's
Right.
just like, I don't get a good vibe from you, lady, at all.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's just a journey, man. And there's so many fucking roadblocks and speed bumps along the way that it's like, it's almost impossible to remember all of them.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
You know, and I try to tell people too, there's no one way either, you know, just because of the path that you chose isn't going to work. It might not work for me. And the way that I did it my 27 years, it's not going to be your way either. Everybody has to customize their path and do what's best for them, do what's best for your mental health, do what's best for your body. And that's part of the journey is just figuring that shit out.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is, man. And see, one of the things like like you're saying, mental health and all of that. That's one of the hardest things to like, for me anyway, at the beginning. Go back a little bit to 2020. It
Yeah.
was like, it was prime COVID season, right? So I was already in a weird headspace because of that. And then I find out I have MS. It sent me down like eventually after I think I got through the shock of it, which was maybe like, I don't know, a few days or a week where I kind of woke up and I'm like, oh my God, like I have a lifelong condition.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a fucking sprained ankle. It's not going away on you, dude. You know,
Yeah.
I can't run away from this.
Yep.
I couldn't run away. I'd need to use a walker to wobble away. But like,
Right.
this is something you have to deal with. And at that time, I didn't know how to deal with it. So like, I fell deep into the alcoholism, and I never really was a drinker before my whole life.
Yeah.
But I needed an escape, and unfortunately, I found it in vodka for like a year and a half, 2 years. Right.
Chad, that is such a common theme with anybody that's diagnosed with a chronic disease. I know that. I mean, I'm not a really, really big drinker, but I do drink, and when I got diagnosed, that you lose yourself in alcohol because I mean, you want something just to numb you, just to take away that feeling that you're going through nonstop. You want some kind of
Yep.
chemical imbalance just to take that away. And it is a common thing. Like, I've heard of people that, they become alcoholics or they develop a drug problem, a drug addiction after a chronic disease diagnosis. It happens so often. And, so that is not an uncommon thing. I know that I went through a period, point in my life where I was probably drinking 7 beers, 6, 7 beers every night because that was the way I went to sleep. I mean, that was the way I went to bed every night. I did that for years, and that's part of this journey that you find anything you can just to give you some little relief, just to take away the fact that you have a chronic disease.
Oh, 100%, man. And a lot of people, I think, like, well, many of us that have it probably have went through it, but a lot of people that don't have chronic illness don't really understand the fact that you're basically mourning the death of yourself.
Hmm.
Like I look at my life drastically as like pre-MS Chad and post-MS Chad. Like your life is fucking vastly different after you get that diagnosis,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, oh, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, man. I just brain farted right there. What did you just say?
No, we were talking about how we just shit,
Oh yeah,
shit.
sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
remember. I remember.
Go
We're
ahead.
mourning the death of ourselves. That's
Yeah,
what I was going to go. That's where I was going to go.
yeah.
So like you are literally like, yeah, you're mourning the death of yourself. So just like somebody that loses a brother or someone in their family, they might, again, it's the same thing, right? Turn to drink and to no, Jesus, numb the pain.
Right.
Same thing with MS. Like I had to go through the process of, okay, old Chad is gone. He is no longer alive. So it's like it quite literally is like, the little man that runs your body is taken out and put into a new one. And you have to figure out everything in life. You have to, like, for me, I had to learn, I didn't have to learn how to walk again, but my walking is so different now than it was 7 years ago.
Right.
That it's just completely different. Like you're relearning and retooling everything is sort of in your life as it goes. So you have to go through that process of like, uh, what is it, denial and like sadness and anger, and I definitely went through all of that shit,
Yeah.
like for sure. But I was lucky that I noticed that I have a problem, obviously, because I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a social drinker at all. I would only drink at home when I'm alone,
Yeah.
and obviously that's not fucking good. And it wasn't even just a little bit, man. I would wake up in the morning. So there was some instance I never drove drunk. I never did do that. But this was at the time where we could work from home every now and then.
Yeah.
It's a bit complicated, but every now and then we'd work from home. So when those days happened, I would legitimately wake up and the first thing I would do would go to the freezer and just like, I don't know how much I would drink. I'd go out of the bottle. That's how I would start my day. And it was like probably a $30, $40 bottle every day, every second day
Yeah.
that I was going through. Like it was a fucking problem, man. And I realized one day, I don't know, I guess everybody, hope not everybody, a lot of people get to that point before they hit rock bottom where they realize they're falling. And it's like, oh shit, there's a ledge, grab it. And I was fucking lucky enough that I saw the ledge and grabbed it and I pulled myself out, thankfully.
Yeah. Thank
But
God.
some people don't. You
No.
know, it,
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I understand how it can happen. I mean, I almost fell into that hole. Thank God I didn't. I mean, I still drink, but I'm basically a weekend drinker. If we go up to the lake, I'll have a drink. I don't drink during the week. I really don't even
Yeah,
drink in the wintertime anymore. I mean, but that was an adjustment that I had to make, and it was a decision I had to make. For me, okay, this isn't good for your body. You can't do this every night, 7 days a week. You're going to kill yourself. I mean, but I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us do go through that with this chronic disease diagnosis. Um, but
yeah,
let
damn it.
let's talk about relationships. I know we had a really good discussion about that, and I've been through a divorce, and I know that we talked about your relationships and all that. So just tell me, like the whole chronic disease after your diagnosis and your relationship journey.
So essentially, it was that year of 2018. Oops, sorry. It was 2019. The girl that I was with when I was intimate and lost feeling and all that, we were broken up. So I was never in a relationship. I wasn't in a relationship, sorry, when I got diagnosed. I was single. So that right there just throws a whole fucking wrench into your head because again, and everybody, I would assume everybody goes through this, like, who the hell's gonna go to the toy store and pick up the broken toy?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when everybody's sitting on the shelf, I feel like I'm the toy that's slumped over and fucked up and missing some hair, and it's just like
Right.
nobody's gonna pick that toy, and that's how I still feel like that, which is like a silly issue. And I know it's not true, but it's like it's a feeling that you go through. So I've been trying to date as I've also been learning how to live my life with MS. So the past 2 years, I haven't really dated at all, just because I hit that point where I realized, okay, I got to figure me out before I get with somebody, blah, blah, blah. But so I was never in a full relationship when I was getting diagnosed. And then I tried dating as the time went on. And so I'll give you a quick rundown of, so I went on a bit of a tear after that. My girlfriend Max, like we ended up breaking up. So that would have been in the beginning of 2019, I think. So for a few years there, I was still pretty good. Like I wouldn't be able. I sorry, I'm a little bit rambly today. So
If,
one night stand, right? When you do a one night stand, you want to go and put on a good performance, right? You want to go there and do what you got to do, lay the hammer down. I can't do that anymore. So there's no sense in me doing one night stands now. That's what it's been for the past about 2, 3 years. There was about 2 years there where I was just out and about doing my thing. And it was really hard to find somebody that wanted to take the broken toy home.
mhm.
So I was with one woman for a little while, and she lived with her parents and had 2 kids. My whole thing was like, now I couldn't deal with a newborn, not because I love friggin' kids, but it's just
Yeah.
I get overstimulated with noise and shit. So there's just no way I could deal with a baby in my full time life. She didn't have a baby, but she had a little boy who was autistic who, had issues and did his thing and made a lot of noise, which whatever,
Yeah.
but I realized I wouldn't be able to deal with it. But I also soon realized that I had a really good job. I had a really good insurance plan. So the apartment I live in is big. It's pretty nice. It's like, and I realized she saw that and she was just using me to get out of her parents' place because about no, I'd say maybe a month and a half into our relationship, she's talking about wanting to like get bunk beds put into my spare bedroom for her kids.
Mm.
I'm like, whoa, 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 slow that roll down. And I told her like, no, I can't do that. This is my serenity space. This is my cave. This is where I go for quiet. I just can't have that.
Yeah.
And then it was soon after that we broke up. But my most recent one, which is the most interesting one. So I went out for 3 dates with this woman. She was so nice, super cute, way above my level. I don't know what I consider myself, but it was like on the scale, I felt like I was batting out of my league. So I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. She was beautiful, super easy to talk to. And she was also an advocate for like accessibility and mobility in all of the towns in the Ottawa Valley.
Okay.
So I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this is a fucking, she gets it, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So the first date we go on, we go out to Boston Pizza. We just, just to meet each other, blah, blah, blah. And the thing was, when I went on this date, it was fucking hot. It was summertime, right? So you all know if you have MS, if if you're nervous, at least for me, if I'm nervous about something or like slightly stressed, my body's gonna be way worse. My
Right.
legs are gonna look fucking even more dumb and not work. I'm gonna be more shaky. Every one of my symptoms is gonna be exacerbated.
Yeah.
So obviously that was going on, right? And I get out and I'm standing outside waiting for her to get there. And it's like, it's hot as fuck. And I should have just stayed in my car with the AC on, which I didn't, but I should have. But so when she gets there, I'm fucking sweating. I look like a mess, right? Like, cause I waited probably 10 minutes outside,
Yeah.
waited for her to get there. She gets there. We go on, she's totally cool with it. She's like, don't worry about like everything's so cool, man. She moves tables because it was too bright in one place we were at. Like, I'm like, holy fuck, this is an awesome woman.
Yeah.
Totally get that date. That date went well. We set up a second one. We go out with our dogs, let them run around and play and meet each other. That went well. Third date, she's like, why don't you come to my place? We'll make dinner and just hang out. So I'm like, well, all right. You know what happens on the third date most times? I'm like, fuck, shit is awesome. Sweet.
Right.
I go there, everything's going well, man. It is like all signs lead to go, fucking making out, doing all the things, getting to where it needs to be going. And then, so before we, it got too crazy, we were just talking. And I had happened to mention, like, because we were planning on going to, this is the fucked up part that I remembered. We were going to go to an accessibility like forum that one of the towns in the Ottawa Valley were doing. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And she told me where it was. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty big. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to walk with my walker the whole time there. Would it be weird if you pushed me in my wheelchair?
Hmm.
As soon as I said that, it's like the fucking air got sucked out of the room, man. I saw her house plants fucking wilt. Her dog ran away. Like it was just like the entire energy of everything changed.
Wow.
And nothing happened that night when I left. And then, the next morning you get the, oh, you're a super nice guy, but I don't, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, holy shit. Like that one I thought,
That's
and,
great.
and you know what I right?
That's
Right.
great. That's crazy. And I got a good story for you. Before I met my wife, and I was dating and I was coming off of a divorce and I was coming off of a 17-year relationship. So I didn't even know how to date. And
Yep.
I got on a dating app and I met a girl at the bar, and I had this thing in my head, hey, if I'm going to date somebody, I'm going to tell them I have MS right off the rip because I don't want to
Yep.
get into a relationship and be screwed later on. And so I met this girl at the bar and we're sitting there having a beer and I told her, hey, I have MS, and she literally put her drink down, said, you know what, it's not going to work, and got up and walked away. And I'm just like, wow, man, that's cold as fuck, man. I mean,
That is ice
people
cold.
people are just, yeah, they're ignorant, and they just I hope they never get a chronic disease because those are the ones that aren't going to do very well with it.
Oh, you got to be a hard fuck to deal with this stuff. You absolutely do. Like you have to have some resilience. But I got to ask you. So from that story there, I'm curious. You said she put down her drink and left. Did you pay for that drink?
I paid for it like a dumbass.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there, dude, right? Just like, oh, you get your fucking pee slapped and you pay for it. Son
Yeah,
of a bitch.
exactly, man. Exactly.
Jesus. Yeah, no, it's see, I learned too. So I've been on dating profiles since I don't know, my young 20s, so for years and years. And I live in a small town. There's like 15,000 people. So the pickings are slim already. And when you go on there, it's just like it's the same fucking people. We're just getting older and fatter. And it's like,
Right.
oh, God, it's depressing, right? It's fucking depressing. But I've started no matter I'm not on them anymore. I just couldn't be bothered right now because I have this like I've just started recently doing TikTok. I got other things going on, which is good
Yeah.
because I realized too that I sometimes chase relationships for happiness, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing that. But in my dating profiles now, I put right in it. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I say I have multiple sclerosis. No, I don't. So in my dating profiles at the bottom, well, I should probably change it now because I'm getting older, but it said that like, I have something I can offer you that most men can't. Front row parking anywhere we go. So that usually makes them ask the question like, what does that mean? And then I tell them right away. So
I
I
got
don't
you.
put that I have multiple sclerosis in my profile because I feel like that will all instantly be a fucking
Yeah.
swipe left, but
Right.
you know,
Right.
and like that'll get up and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
So I don't.
I like that, man. I like that front row parking, man. I mean, that's actually pretty clever, just a way of describing it in your description. I like that a lot, Chad.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I try, Red. Like that's so my defense mechanism through life has been laughter, making fun of myself, just turning a shit situation into something that can be at least kind of funny years down the way. So I don't know. My mentality now is just I gotta have fun with life anyway. So I sort of can, right? We gotta find the little veins of silver every now and then and hope that you one day find a gold one. It's like, oh shit, or a diamond in here. You're like fucking right. But
Right.
that's how I look at my life. I'm like a miner now. Most of my life is coal, but every now and then there's a silver lining. You're like, oh shit, I got to pick at that for a bit.
Yeah. I love that, Chad. That's where I was going to go with this next is, how do you keep yourself motivated in fighting this disease and what how you spread the awareness? Because I know I met you on social media, and you're kind of like me. You're just out there. You want people to understand this disease, and talk a little bit about your platforms that you're on, and you can like give your description name and I'll put that in the description of the
Oh,
podcast
awesome.
if you want to follow Chad on any of his formats that he's on. I'll have the links in there so you can follow him. He's just an awesome dude. The way he's got a lot of humor. He uses a lot of humor, which I appreciate because I mean with this disease you got to have humor and so go ahead and talk about your platforms that you're on, Chad.
Yeah, so really, it's kind of funny. For years, I did not have any social media. I was just one of those people that didn't like it. It wasn't for me. So recently, the only social media I'm really on is TikTok. And it's kind of crazy because, and my TikTok handle, I'm pretty sure is Wobbles. So WOBBLEZ or Z, depending on where you live, but WOBBLEZ.ms. And I don't know. So the way I kind of like, I spread awareness because when I originally got on TikTok, I kind of thought it was like Chinese spyware and kids dancing. That's what I honestly sort of thought it was.
Right?
But my friends kept sending me videos from TikTok that wasn't that. So I'm like, well, shit, I guess I should get on. So I did. I searched MS and I'm like, holy fuck, there's like an entire community of people here. And I found exactly what I was looking for. People like you, people that can relate and talk to each other and understand. Because like I said, I'm from a small town, so I don't have that here.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to find support groups in my area and I went to one and it was three old ladies and an old dude. So it was like I was at, after church cookies and tea. And it just wasn't for me. The only common ground was we had multiple sclerosis. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get on TikTok and do some searching and find it. And I did. I found it on there and I found a whole community and I watched a lot of videos and stuff. And there's a lot of people already sort of explaining like the disease of multiple sclerosis, right? There's also people showing you their day-to-day stuff, but I'm like, okay, I want to do something different. And I just want to show because in my videos, I'm not like putting anything on. That is just my normal day. This is how me and my friend Janelle talk to each other. Like I wanted to bring a little bit of cheer. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we do go through our down moments and like, oh fuck my life. And what did I do to deserve this? That I like burn an orphanage down in a past life. Like what the but all that shit is like momentary and fleeting and those feelings and thoughts will go away and then you're left with like okay I can sit here and be miserable or I can try to like make my life light and have fun and that's what I'm trying to do in most of my videos. Like I do a few like here's a symptom and stuff like that, but I found more recently I enjoy like just showing the parts of my life and you can see how it is with multiple sclerosis. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because I want to show I'm Chad or Wobbles before I have before MS. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying in my own head. I'm just trying to give a little bit of a different viewpoint and bring some laughter to it because that's what we need a lot of times.
Yeah.
Life is just so fucking depressing. We need to find a way to laugh. And if I can get one person to have a chuckle out there that's got this bullshit, I'd be happy. So
Yeah.
that's my mission. I mean, oh, and
It's
so I also realized lately that I have one goal. My one main goal with with doing TikTok and stuff like that. I really want to. Oh my god, and her name just popped out of my head. What's the lady's name that played Kelly and Married with Children?
Oh, Christine Applegate.
Christina Applegate. I want to smoke a joint with Christina Applegate. So if somehow throughout doing this TikTok fucking social media stuff. I could make that happen. That is my main goal right now, which is a little bit selfish. I understand.
That's a
But
good
that is something I've always
that,
wanted to do, man.
that's a great goal, man. I would smoke one with you with her, man. Christina
Really?
Applegate, I grew up with her, man, married with children. Yeah, I mean, and she was an awesome, awesome actress. I loved her to death. I mean, I was in love with her, literally. I mean, I thought she was a
Oh, dude.
beautiful, beautiful girl. And yeah, when she got diagnosed with MS, I'd smoke a joint with her in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. She's just, I don't know, she seems so chill and so cool. And like, she went through that shit too. So I did like some reading because I found out about it on a couple years ago when everybody else did, obviously. And she was having symptoms all the way back to the Married with Children days.
Wow.
Like she's like, I was starting to lose balance and her vision was going squirrely. And then she just kind of found out she had it and disappeared after that, right? She went into her shell for a long time
She did.
and she
Yeah.
just came out of it recently, right? Which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just,
Well,
because I feel like,
she also went through breast cancer too, though. You know,
yeah,
I know
yeah,
she's had a crazy road too. You know, I mean, because a lot of people think, okay, yeah, you get diagnosed with MS. Well, yeah, guess what? Life still goes on, and you still have to go through other life diagnoses, and people get diagnosed with breast cancer. I did an episode with a lady, Kristen, over in Annapolis, Maryland, and she's the same way. She's had MS for quite a long time, and she's on Ocrevus, and she just got breast cancer, and
Jesus.
she had a double mastectomy, and I mean, so I mean, life. That's the thing another thing that people just don't understand. Yeah, you got MS, but life still goes on, and you're still going to have to go through a cancer diagnosis, or
Yeah.
it's just it's a battle, and people just don't need to understand. They need to start understanding that there's a lot of people that are going through this. And just learn about
No,
chronic disease. You know, just to understand it. It'll be a better place if people just understand other people's struggles.
it would be, man. But like, I don't like, I feel like I'm pretty good at communicating and explaining myself. But there's some people that just, they will not ever understand it. And I don't know why, but it's just, you have to, like, I have to. I don't know why I say you, but I'm talking, anytime I say you have to, I'm speaking about myself.
Yeah,
I have to find ways that, I set boundaries because I know some people are, and I'm speaking about people in my circle of my life. There's some people that just will never understand it. And they'll always make the stupid little comments like, well, if you're just sitting at home all day, why don't you go through these junk chores or clean up or do this? And just try to do one little thing a day. And it's like, fuck, you just don't understand that, like,
yeah,
me getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, and coming downstairs, that's like an 8-hour workday for me or a 12-hour shift.
right.
It's like they're just doing that and then making sure that, like, my main goal in a day, I have a dog. His name is Leroy Jenkins. He's an Aussie doodle, full of piss and vinegar. My main goal every day is to just get him out somewhere where he can run.
Yeah,
That's all I care about in a day. If I can do that, I feel like I've had a successful day. But anything else to me is gravy. If I manage to do some tidying up, I'll do it. Like last night, I played Dungeons and Dragons last night. I got home at about 10 o'clock. For whatever reason, I was like, oh, fuck, I got a little burst of energy. I'm going to tidy up the living room.
there
Like,
you
it's
go.
weird with MS. It's like whenever that, it's like you have a light in you that someone else is controlling the light switch to. So as soon as I feel that little burst of energy, it's like I have to take advantage of that when I can.
Yeah,
So me sitting around all day isn't me sitting around all day. It's me sitting there like just fucking surviving the seconds. Like,
right.
some people will never get it, unfortunately, no matter how much awareness is out there. Some people just don't get it and they never will. And I had to accept that.
Yeah, I get it. And and those are the people that I just, I don't want any part of, and I only let people into my circle that understand it, and they, like if I tell them something, they look at me and they're like, "Okay, Brian, I get it." I mean, if I tell them I can't do something, they understand that I can't do it or I need help doing it. And those are the ones that I tend to keep in my circle, and everybody else that doesn't get it, I just, I'll be nice to you. I'll say hi to you, but I'm not. You're not going to get the time of day from me other than that.
So, see, this becomes a complicated scenario when that person's your mother. and is the most helpful person in your life and helps you the most and will be there for you when you need her. But she irritates you to no end sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story here. So the other day, I've been having this issue with a new fucking air conditioner up in my bedroom. For whatever reason, it would fill up with water. Like it's one of those portable ones with the pipe that goes to the window.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, it was filling up with water like every 4 hours. There's just something fucked up with it. I tell my mom, like, okay, let's just take it back. So let's say that's a week ago. I tell her, let's just take it back. For a whole week, she's like here every day asking questions about it. Like, were you upstairs? How's the air conditioner? I'm going to stop by before work and check, and I'm going to stop by after work and check, and I'm going to call you during work to check the air conditioner to see. It was just fucking nonstop with this goddamn air conditioner. And I'm like, we already decided to take it back. Like, that's what we're going to do. Still did. She just keeps coming and checking and doing stuff. Like she's irritating the shit out of me about this. So there's one time when Janelle's here and we're just sitting having smoking some weed as we do. And my mom comes over and she starts talking about the fucking air conditioner again. And Janelle knows because I've told her what I just told you. Like, I'm so irritated about this air conditioner. I can't talk about it anymore because it legitimately is like, it's sending me to fucking irritate. Like, just please stop talking about it. My mom comes and she keeps talking about it again. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to hear about this air conditioner anymore. We've already decided to take it back. I will call, get it arranged that my buddy will get it taken back. I don't want to hear about it anymore. She looks at Janelle and starts whispering to her. I'm 3 fucking feet from her about the goddamn air conditioner. And I'm like, I'm going to smash something. Like, I don't know what else I can do right now because I've asked so many times, just please stop talking about it. So there's some people, dude, that just will never get it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I say, mine is my biggest caregiver, like the lady that will help me anytime I need it. And I love her to death, but she drives me fucking batty sometimes with the repeating of things and like the just not listening when I say like please. And I'm nice about it for so long until I get to that point where it's like I don't know what you want me to do. Like, do I have to yell and say like shut the fuck up, which I don't want to do because I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
And with MS, you already have. I feel like I have I'm already at like a 9.5 on the annoyance and frustration scale in the day just because of life with MS. So it's
Right.
the fuse is short. And but before it hits the dynamite, I'm pretty good at saying like, can you just please stop that? It's really irritating me.
Yeah.
So if I say that 3 times and you don't do it, it's gotta hit the bomb and I gotta yell. And I'm not that type of person. I'm not a yeller at people. I don't like confrontation.
I
I
under
want to live a stress-free life as possible, right?
Yeah, I understand that, Chad, and that's another part of this disease that I don't think is understood by a lot of people is that there's like a chemical imbalance with us.
Yeah.
This disease has crazy, crazy switches of our emotions. I mean, you can go from laughing your ass off to crying to screaming and in a fit of anger in a matter of 10 minutes. You can go through all those
Oh,
emotions. I mean, and it's because of this disease. And that's an understanding that I don't think people get. They don't get that this disease affects us like that.
see, and I think too, we're the ones with the disease, right? Obviously, we have the hardest time going through this shit, but I think sometimes we also do forget that us having this disease affects everybody in our circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to have a deep conversation with my mom to understand her side of it
Yeah.
because I know that they go through something too. If we go through the death of ourselves, our loved ones have to also go through something like that.
Sure.
So I don't understand. And it's my mom too, right? So she's got the mom, her son is sick, and she just wants to help.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I am resistant to help. Like, it's just that it's a hard situation for her too, but I'll never be able to understand it.
Yeah.
And she'll never be able to understand me. So it's like, it's just one of those things. It's tough because, yeah, like I say, it affects everybody in your circle, right? It really does.
It does, yeah, and I say that I've said that repeatedly, even with a marriage. When I was 27 years old and engaged, my fiance, my first wife at the time, she had no clue what MS was either. I mean, it was like she was on board with that journey too, learning about it
Yeah.
with me, and it just so happened 15 years later we ended up going through a divorce, but. I mean, it's a ride for everybody involved in it. Whether it's your kids, your mom, your dad, your cousins, your anybody that's involved in your circle, they're on this ride too.
Oh, absolutely. Like for sure. It really makes you realize like who's your bury the body people in your life. You know what I mean? Those ones that will be there, the ones that care. Like I have some family members in my life that, oh yeah, Chad's got MS, like whatever, no big deal. And I don't expect anybody to give a shit. But
Mhm.
I have some family members in my life that like when I go to their place, they're like, what could we do here to like make it easier for you? You
Awesome.
know? And it's just like, man, there's some people that are really fucking cool about it, and there's some people that just don't understand, don't care, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't expect anybody,
well,
to
yeah,
do.
I don't, yeah, I'm kind of like you. I don't understand why they don't understand. I call them ignorant. I don't call them stupid.
Yeah.
I don't call them assholes. I don't call them. I just say they're
Or they
ignorant.
just don't know.
They're
Yeah.
ignorant. They're just an ignorant person. And ignorance, I always say, is a choice. You have a choice to be ignorant. If you choose to be ignorant, that's on you. But if
Oh,
you
absolutely.
it's up to every person to educate themselves on certain things, and if you choose to be ignorant about chronic disease, then that's on you. I can't help you. Go ahead on with your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
and I don't want you in my life.
Yeah. That's totally understandable. And I've been so even before I had MS, I learned in my 20s that sometimes you got to trim the fat. So I've never really had that problem. I've also I never really had the problem. So with MS, some days I don't like making plans because I feel bad if I'm gonna. It's weird. I know in life you have to make plans, but I feel bad breaking them sometimes. So I try not to. But majority of people understand, especially now with MS, right? Like, oh, if I make plans, say sorry, I can't make it to Dungeons and Dragons tonight. It's no big deal. But I've also never really had the problem of in my 20s, I realized I got to stop putting myself in situations that bother me mentally or are going to be mentally bad for me. So, like, long story short, here, I was dating a girl for 5 years. We break up. She goes out with my best friend, ends up marrying that best friend down the road, whatever. So, at this time, I'm just going to say Tony was getting married. Tony and me were best friends. Tony asked me to stand in his wedding. I said yes. About 3 weeks before the wedding, another guy that was standing in the wedding informed me that the dude who is now dating my ex girlfriend is also going to be standing in the wedding. So this is 3 weeks before a wedding that's been planned for a long time. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not going to stand with this guy just because, like, I'm going to have to bail on this wedding. And I did. And it fucked up their numbers and all sorts of stuff. But it's like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm super fucking in a state that I don't even know what I would have been in. Cause at that point, I was still in love with that girl. I don't know how I would have reacted. So
Right.
I'm just not putting myself in that situation. So I decided not to stand in his wedding and I did that.
Okay.
And also, like, so now I don't know, it's even more of a superpower to just be able to be like, yeah, no, it's one of our silver linings, regardless of whether you want to think it is. We have the ability to say, I'm having a bad day and I don't feel like doing that, even if you're not. And people will just believe it, which sounds shitty and manipulative. But fuck it. We need to find the silver linings where they are. And if we don't feel like doing something a day and we're having a good body day, use that excuse.
Yep, absolutely, man. I always tell everybody, you're in control of this journey, and if you can't do something, it's on you. It's on you to say no, and saying no is not a bad thing. You got to learn how to say it. I had a hard time learning how to say it because I was always a pleased person. I tried to please everybody that came in contact with me, and I got to a point. You know what? I can't do that anymore. I can't do that.
Look,
I can't make everybody happy. I got to make me happy, and I'm a little selfish now. It's about me.
oh, man, I'm the same way. I'm not narcissistic, I don't think, but like, I'm not going to do something if I don't want to. Sorry, I don't give a shit if it fucks up your plans. I'm just not going to do it. And it is one of those things I think because we're resilient, right? And yeah, our life is tough. So if I don't feel like walking down the stairs to go over, it's just not going to happen.
Yep.
We have to be like that. And I had a really tough time, like saying no to people too. That wedding thing was a very big turning point in my life where it was like, okay, I learned something about myself.
Yeah.
I have the power to just be like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely, man. Chad, man, I really want to thank you so much for coming on my podcast today, man. I really appreciate talking to you, buddy. I will have you on whenever you want to come back on. We can talk about a lot of things. I love your attitude. I just love the way you attack this disease, and you're just like fuck MS, and you're figuring it
Yeah.
out, and you're still pretty young in this disease, and I just love your attitude, dude.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. And yeah, it's a journey, that's for sure. But I'm on it anyway, so I might as well make the best of it. And that's what I try to do with my TikTok stuff. So, like I say, if you go to wobblez.ms, it'll probably be in the description. Wobbles is what I go by on there. I'm just trying to show you kind of I don't know. I'm not getting super into the medical stuff and all that. I just want to have a laugh because that's how I want to live life. I need to laugh, and I'm hoping I can make other people have a chuckle. And like, if you're going through, if you just find a note, and like you just said, Brian, I'm 5 years in, but it's seems like I have a good attitude. I thought I had MS for a while, so I've kind of been thought of that before I got diagnosed. But if you are at just the beginning, it sucks. Okay, there's no two ways around it. You're going to be fucking miserable. It's going to be hard, but you'll come out the other side. And there's people that have went through it, are going through it now. You're not alone. That's the thing that I realized. Like, you really aren't, you know. And there's people out there that will listen and understand your point of view, and you just have to find them. And I found them on TikTok. So, like, if you do have any sort of chronic illness, I suggest legitimately getting on TikTok because that's where the community of people seems to be. And it's made me super happy the last few months that I've been on it, which is kind of shocking. So it's my new passion, I guess you could say.
I love it, Chad. I love it, man. If you want to follow Chad, I will definitely have Wobbles in the description. Click on it. He's a really good dude, man. I love talking to you, Chad. I really
Oh,
appreciate
I'm
you.
talking.
Yeah, like I said, I will definitely have you on again. I appreciate you. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I am MS Michigan Man 64. You can find me on Instagram, also MS Michigan Man 64. Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Until the next MS Michigan Man 64 podcast, I am out.